All right, we said earlier about Advocate Dali Mpofu going on Twitter to ask citizens to join him in a call to the Nobel Foundation, asking them to retract that Nobel Peace Prize. He joins us now on the line. A very good morning to you, Advocate Dali Mpofu. What do you mean by this call?
Thank you, Desiree. No, the call was really sparked by my own outrage at what has been going on for the past 2 weeks. And I think the last straw was this statement from the De Klerk Foundation, where they are still insist on questioning the fact that apartheid was a crime against humanity. I mean, those of us who are victims of apartheid, who were jailed and tortured under apartheid, have no doubt that it was a crime against humanity. We don't even talk about the people who were killed, but the human suffering, the past laws, the segregated schools, and everything that apartheid, the forced removal. And for someone to come and be an apologist for that, basically what I'm communicating is that De Klerk cannot be perpetuating violence, because to deny apartheid is to perpetuate violence to all of us, to the victims of apartheid. So he can't be perpetuating violence with one hand and hold the Nobel Peace Prize with the other hand. So he must decide which is which here.
So in the tweet you say, that's it, enough is enough. If you think apartheid was a crime against humanity, please join me in a non-partisan citizens campaign to approach the Nobel Foundation to take back the Nobel Peace Prize from FW De Klerk. At 10,000 retweets, we launch formally. Let's go. How many retweets have you got so far?
Well, I must say that I'm pleasantly surprised. I thought we'll reach maybe that 10,000 around about Tuesday or Wednesday. And now 8 hours after the thing started, we're almost close. We're already at about 9,000. So I expect in the next hour or so, we're going to hit the 10,000 mark. And then there are a few people who have volunteered to assist, so I will then consult them about what the next step should be. I have got a few ideas, but I'd rather talk to whoever is going to get involved.
Yeah. Why do you think former President FW De Klerk is unrepentant?
Well, it's not just him. He represents the entire generation of people who perpetrated apartheid. There's never been in this country any, showing of remorse by the perpetrators of apartheid. And, instead, actually, they give us the finger. The so-called hand of reconciliation has been, met with the proverbial finger from these people. And so De Klerk represents an entire generation of people, and we will never be able to fix the problems of this country. I mean, we're not asking for them for money or anything, simply to acknowledge the pain that they caused.
You put the tweet under hashtag bring back the prize. I know you say you don't want to go into too much detail right now, but what are the chances that the Nobel Foundation will accede to this call?
Well, we don't know. If you are an activist, actually, it's even better if something has not been done before. I know that the prize has never been retrieved before, but that's exactly why we do this. We don't want to do it because it's easy. And if we get, I'm thinking of collecting signatures and actually approaching the Nobel Foundation. But we might even go as far as picketing at the De Klerk Foundation, and then make this an international call as well, because the Nobel Peace Prize is an international prize by definition.
So the Desmond and Leah Tutu Foundation has also joined the fray in asking the former president to apologize. If he does apologize, will this change matters?
No, I think it's too late for that. I mean, if you can't realize after 30 years that apartheid was a crime against humanity, any apology that comes now will just be a PR exercise. And as I say, it's not a matter of words anymore. It's the attitude that the perpetrators of apartheid have shown us in the past 30 years. So let it be out there. If we want true reconciliation, we mustn't push these things under the carpet.
Let me just take you back to the State of the Nation last Thursday. A year ago, a columnist wrote that the EFF was taking charge of conversation in the country. And last Thursday, we expected them to go to Parliament and talk about Pravin Gordhan, but suddenly the conversation came up about De Klerk, and we're still talking about it today. What was the strategy here? I know you're not in senior leadership anymore, but you're obviously still in the leadership of the party.
Yes, well, I'm a member of the EFF, obviously, but I'm not speaking for the EFF. I think that it was a brilliant move, by the way, from the leadership of the EFF, because the whole idea really is to resonate with the people and ignore the noise. Now, obviously, other people, just as they did with the Pay Back the Money campaign, they start by knee-jerk condemnation, without realizing that actually what is being said has merit. And I think it's the same case here. Because, I mean, for us to be expected to tolerate insults by De Klerk and then invite him Nobel on top of that, I mean, that's just a double insult, I think, by those who invited him. Because if De Klerk, if he had invited him last month and then in between he has molested children or something, you would have withdrawn that invitation. So if he has now insulted an entire nation, why can't you withdraw the invitation? So I think it was a brilliant move by the EFF. Yeah.
Some people have asked what differentiates this invitation to previous invitations which are standard to former heads of state.
No, but that's the point I'm making. If the former head of state, you invite him 100 times, but on the 101st time, he does something atrocious. You can't say, oh, well, because I invited him 100 times before, I can't stop now because even though he has actually, let's say, molested children or done something outrageous. That's exactly what happened. De Klerk did something completely outrageous in the last 2 weeks, and therefore the invitation should have been withdrawn on that particular score. Doesn't matter how many previous times he was invited.
In your personal opinion, how should former President FW De Klerk be recognized? Because there's a tussle between whether he should be credited for ending apartheid, which a majority of the people agree is not the case. But you can't ignore that he was the president who took a stand and did something about a process that was just going on without end. How should he be recognized?
No, he must be recognized as the butcher of apartheid that he is. He did not take any stand. It was through the struggles, the blood and sweat and the lives of people who died, who laid their lives to put pressure on the apartheid government across the world, for that matter. And they realized that the game was up, and good luck to him. He managed to negotiate a situation where they held on to the economy, but the game was long up by the time he did what he did. And he cannot be absolved of the crimes for which he is not even prepared to acknowledge and apologize now.
What's your response to the sentiment that this conversation about the definition of apartheid, it's just a way, including former President FW De Klerk, to just deflect from the real issues that the country is dealing with?
No, I don't buy that argument. People always say that. No, instead of looking at De Klerk, you must look at the electricity. Instead of looking at, you must look at the unemployment. If you're an activist, you must look at all those things. So there's no such thing as you must look at one issue, for the whole year. You can look at 50 issues. When we were fighting apartheid, we dealt with everything. We dealt with, bus boycott, food boycott, all at the same time. So that's it. It's a social issue. And apartheid is an all-embracing issue, whose effects are still with us today. It's not a question of talking about the past. The effects of apartheid are living with us. You just have to go and look at the squatter camps. You don't have to see a human being to know what kind of people are inside those squatter camps. And those are the after effects of apartheid.
Thank you so much for giving us the time this morning. Do stay in touch and let us know how that campaign unfolds.
Thank you very much. We just hit the 9,000 mark now.
Stunning. Advocate Dali Mpofu. Blaine?
All right,